Welcome everybody to PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am Tats. I am here with Rob and Donald, and the Yankees actually pulled off a sweep early in the season, which we did not see at all last year. They didn't have their first sweep until after the All-Star break. So it was good to see that the team finally came together. The pitching, the offense, it all blended well. Good management. It really was just an all-around good season for a team in Cleveland that was just starting to find their bats, going against the Yankees, for our pitching to be able to just kind of calm them back down. Between Tyone, Cortez, we knew was going to be great. Cole was the question mark if we were going to pull off the sweep. And Cole actually had a very good game yesterday. It wasn't the definition of an ace, but he looked a lot better. Like this is the call that we've been waiting for this year. After his first three starts, what was your overall take of the season from the pitching perspective?
Of the season?
Season? What I say?
You keep saying season. Do you mean series?
Well, he's his first starts of the season. He wasn't looking like himself.
Right.
Yesterday, he looked like himself. That's what I'm saying. Yesterday was more of a Cole performance that we've seen so far this season.
All right. You also said previously the great management this season. I was like, right,
well,
okay,
Boone has not been the problem.
Okay.
We've been kind of giving him a little bit of a pass. And we said we will see how the season went and how he managed the lineups. If we were really going to be overly critical of Boone, but even knowing last night, some of the the substitutions that he made to get guys off their feet, that's when you want to use your bench. And so I thought he did really, Boone did very well this weekend. I think he gets I'll give him a B minus.
Well, I mean, my only criticism would be putting Chad Green in the eighth inning. I think that was a mistake. I think he should have gone with a higher leverage arm there. I don't trust Chad Green to in these kind of spots right now. But apart from that, I think that he's been okay. He's been fine. I don't have any major issues with what he's been doing out there. That's obviously a positive. As for Garrett Cole, really good. Obviously 6 2/3, 0 runs given up. It was only 92 pitches, so to be fair, Boone really didn't need to take him out. I think he probably should have just gone the full 7 innings. But apart from that, again, picking holes. But I thought Garrett Cole was great, and this is exactly what you need from an ace. 0 runs given up. He resourceful with his pitches, so he didn't throw too many pitches. 92 pitches, 6 2/3 and no runs given up. I mean, you can't ask any more than that. It's a really positive sign. He worked really well with Trevino. I'm liking what Trevino's been doing behind the plate. I think he's looking like our number one catcher right now. He's framing the ball well. He's calling a very good game. And he's sprayed a couple of hits around. But that's all we're really needing from the catcher spot, and Trevino's doing that. So, that was actually a good trade from Cashman. This weekend was actually a good weekend for Brian Cashman. Falafe was terrific. Torres, who he's obviously still trusting, had a good series. That was good for him. His call to leave the rotation as is so far has been the right call. Holmes is obviously very, very good, so that was a good trade for him. The Trevino deal looks pretty good. So and obviously Donaldson hit a couple of home runs.
Yep.
So, well, at least one home run anyway. And it was a good weekend for Brian Cashman. We'll see what happens. But it's positive signs for the Yankees.
So, we don't know what's going to happen. It's still early in the season. It could, just as quick as it all came together this weekend, it could easily fall apart. But, and it's unfortunate that as fans that we've grown accustomed to waiting for, the negative to happen. We haven't been able to really focus too much on positive. There's not been a lot of upside for us to really hang a hat on and say, all right, this is what the team is. We don't know yet, and we still don't know what this team is going to be. So I think
what we can say though is his decision to re-sign Rizzo was a very good one. He has been absolutely fantastic.
So you're 100% back on the Rizzo train then?
I was never off the Rizzo train. I was just okay. No, but it's just when you look at the bigger picture, I was like, oh, all right. But actually, he's been terrific. There's no argument there. He's such a good defender, and his swing is fantastic. He's got a beautiful swing, and he's undaunted by New York. In fact, he thrives in it. That was a steal. If you look at that contract he signed, it's actually kind of a steal. So yeah, that was pretty good.
No, and even the one player that we really saw have a really good weekend that we were waiting for was LeMahieu. LeMahieu is really coming back into his own, and he's the player that we signed. Contact hitter, moving runners around, getting RBIs. Yesterday he had the home run. He was just really LeMahieu was. You could tell he's healthy now. Where last year it was just an injury. He was hiding an injury. He wasn't himself, and it's really good to see that LeMahieu is back on track to be in what we. This is what we expected from him. So there are a lot of positives to really look forward to. Judge came out of his shell, with the 2 home run game on what was that, Friday? I think he had the 2 knocks. And so you're starting to, Judge is starting to come back.
Rob, what do you think of TJ's performance?
So much echo.
Yeah.
Launch angle, man. That's what I've been saying. Get the ball in the air.
Yep.
That's it. It's all he needs to do. Line drives, and he'll be fine. And so he was doing it all spring. He's doing it all season. There was no doubt with DJ. As long as he's hitting the ball, not a huge launch angle, but line drives, he's going to be DJ. We know that. And with Judge, we just said be patient, because we were some people. We're getting a little antsy. They were getting a little antsy after 10 games, and he's like, oh, it's the contract's fault. But Aaron Judge is going to be Aaron Judge. So it took a little time, but some of these bats are finally. Even Gallo finally got his first RBI. So I'll take it. Can't complain. It's a beautiful series. We had the exciting win in the first game, the second game, and then painless game yesterday. When was the last time we had a painless win?
Oh my God, I know, it's so rare.
Well, that's
back on DJ, man. It's all about health for him. Yep. He just wasn't healthy last year, and I think it was affecting his swing and his mobility a little bit. Now that he's 100%, he is absolutely killing it right now. He's going to give you a 300 batting average, and he is. I think he needs to be sitting at the top of the order. You can rely on him at the top of the order to put together good at bats and quality hits. So I'm really excited that DJ is back, because for me, he's one of the best pure hitters in the American League or in fact baseball in general, when he's fully healthy. So those fans that were calling him out last year, saying, "Oh, he's a bad hitter," just go take a walk. You guys don't know what you're looking at. He is a fantastic hitter, one of the best hitters in baseball when he's healthy, and luckily he's healthy.
Yeah, and exactly. And when you look at the standings, the Yankees, are tied with Toronto right now for first place, and which makes it even more significant that we were able to get a sweep with that team. But the team that we did not handle our business against, we get another shot at it starting tomorrow against Baltimore. And it's important for them to really come out of start this week off right tomorrow with a dominant performance. Mm-hmm. We need what we got yesterday. We need tomorrow. And I think it's very possible. We have Severino on the mound, who's pitching really well. He's got a 2.08 ERA. So Severino has not been the problem. our pitching overall has not been the problem. It was really just getting the offense to wake up and remember who they're, where they're playing, and the home stadium helps that. And so the one thing that I've really enjoyed looking at, and as minuscule as it could be, the run differential in the division. The Yankees are really doing well with that. Right now, they're a plus 14 run differential. The Toronto Blue Jays are only a plus 3. So,
what do you think that means?
The pitching, even as bad as the offense was, the pitching was still, handling their business and really limiting the runs to keep us in games. And that's really what you want to see this early in the season. While you're waiting to figure out while you're waiting to find your identity for 2022, is all right. How are we handling the business that we need to? And the pitching is just completely shut everybody. I think we're ranked first in all the categories. There was a graphic that was put up. I got to find it real quick. And our pitching has just been phenomenal. And I think it's exceeded my expectations. I think it's exceeded a lot of expectations, even with Cole's struggles, that we're able to still, hold the offense at bay, waiting for the offense to click. How do you think that is a very important factor this early in the season to get everybody right?
Pitching wise?
Overall. Especially with the pitching, is it, keeping everybody pretty much holding back the opponents, knowing that the offense was struggling the way it was, that the pitching stayed as focused as it was.
Yeah, it has to be. It's important, of course. We want our pitching to be good. If we're going to go anywhere this year, the pitching has to be basically this way all season. We know it's not going to be the case. They're going to have some hiccups, but I mean, overall, our pitching staff was never a weakness. There was just question marks. You didn't know what Severino was going to be, and it's still, very, very early. We didn't know what Cortez would give us at the 5 spot. No one could have predicted this from Cortez so early in the season. So, but the fact that we're seeing these guys healthy and they're pitching well. I mean, Severino is the most important piece of this whole thing because he's looking like Sevy of pre-injury 2018. Like, he's locating, his velocity's there. He's looking confident. He didn't have that confidence in the second half of that year where he was hurt and he was kind of hiding the injury and he was just losing everything that year. That's so important. And then the bullpen, geez, like there's the fact that Chad Green's probably our weak link in terms of high leverage, and even he's very reliable at times. It's just not overusing him. So pitching is superb, and I think a lot of it has to do with Matt Blake. The dude has worked wonders for some of these arms like Castro, who everyone said he's going to walk everybody. He's going to walk a whole lineup worth of players. He's been great for us. We were talking about Peralta and Holmes we did for them last year. I mean, bullpen is fire. The rotation's been electric so far. I mean, it's great to see. And offensively, it was just patience. Offense is down across all of baseball to start the season. Yeah. And it's probably another dead ball situation. So I'm sure when the league starts seeing all these decreased runs from these big-time offenses, you're going to see the ball get juiced again, and then the Yankees are going to start scoring runs, and maybe the pitching will start to fall a little bit. So who knows what Manfred's up to?
Yeah, I have the numbers that it was actually Chris Northrup posted it on somebody else's Twitter account. They're ranked first with a 2.53 ERA.
Wow.
First with a 3.14 FIP. The strikeout to walk ratio is first with a 17.4.
Wow.
And what's really interesting, I've never seen this before, is they rank first with their chase rate at 34.9% of their pitches are being chased. And I think that really speaks volumes of what this pitching staff can really do, especially with all the hype of the pitching being on the other side of town. That the Yankees were able to hold stats like that in the American League, which is always considered to be the more dominant league. So it's again, there's a lot. You could overstate the emphasis on the pitching, but it's really a matter of the offense off of this weekend really finding its rhythm. That's going to be what's important. We need these hitters to start hitting. It can't just be Rizzo and LeMahieu. We're starting to see IKF is really finding his place, not trying to overplay. Because I think that's what what you see a lot is you see the guys around you start to struggle, so you try to go outside of your game to play theirs and take their approach rather than stick with your own, which is what's working. So, IKF is, he's got a more level swing. He's forcing the ball into the gaps, really, hitting, away from the defensive alignment. And you start to see everybody else is playing to what they're supposed to be playing for. Whether you're going for that uppercut because there's runners on base with nobody out. So you want to get the ball uppercut into the outfield to move the runners over, even if it's a sacrifice. So it's really starting to all come along. It's a lot. It's like I said, it's still early in the season, but it's so hopeful. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is giving the fans that hope that we haven't had yet this year. Donald?
Oh, wow. Okay. So lots to unpack here because you said quite a lot there. Right? Okay. So first of all, IKF, he's spraying the ball all over the field, and he's definitely looking like very similar to the Gregorius deal, where like he really struggled at first. He looked a little bit overawed, but he's kind of settling into himself. All he needs to be is himself, and if he plays himself, if he just bees himself, he doesn't try to do too much. He's got a nice level contact swing. He's got a little bit of speed, and he's obviously a very good defender. He's gonna be a plus. So his at bat there in the ninth inning, I can't say enough about that in game two. 100-mile-an-hour fastball in on him, and he turned on it beautifully and absolutely roped it. It was a very difficult pitch to hit, and I think it's the hardest hit pitch that he's ever had, that he's ever hit, and he absolutely smacked it. And I think it was 100+ mile an hour, 100.3 miles per hour, I seem to remember. And he turned on it beautifully and roped it, and that changed the game. So IKF, he's settling into himself a little bit, and I've always liked them, and so it's good that he's got a chance to shine here. He's certainly playing above his ability. I mean, he's hitting almost 300. And Tats, to be fair to you, man, you did say that you thought IKF was going to have a plus year in that department. He's always averaged around about 260. So in the early going, even though the fact that he struggled immensely at the start of the year, and now he's already up to around about the 290s, 300. It's a good sign. Now, remember, it's all very, very, very early. But the fact that he is producing at the bottom of the order is so important. And it's nice because he's a little bit of a different guy than we normally have. So it's good to have that kind of guy that we need. And I think the Yankees are going to really benefit from him at the bottom of the order. I also want to talk about Torres because I'm obviously one of his harshest critics. But his at-bat there in the ninth inning, it was clutch. Beautiful swing. His swing has been off for about, since his 38 home run year. His swing has been off. His timing's been off, and it's certainly been off at the start of the year. But when he absolutely roped that walk-off ribby, that was the Gleyber Torres that we know. Wasn't trying to uppercut it. It was a nice level swing. I'm all about the level swing. Nice line drive swing. Didn't do too much and absolutely roped it. And then he took that positive and then roped a big hit yesterday. And those are positive signs. If you're looking for positive signs, you need Gleyber Torres to get himself together because he isn't a bad hitter. I'm not quite sure why he's fallen apart like he has, but we'll see what happens with that. But it certainly was a positive sign and good for him. And that he it's not easy to come in with that situation, a pinch hit spot, and come up big in that way. So that's a big moment for him and for the Yankees. So yeah, there were some positive signs there, man. If you're looking for positive signs offensively, you saw it in this series. I don't want to go too much into this dead ball thing because let's be fair, the Pirates had a much stronger offense than the Yankees did coming into this series, and that's nothing to do with dead ball. This is bad production. So I'm putting this all in the Yankees, but finally they played up to their ability, especially in Game 3, and so yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic, and I think that Garrett Cole has figured himself out. Well, I want to ask you guys: do you think that Trevino helped him, or do you think it was just Garrett Cole was due?
Rob, I'll let you go.
I think it was just Cole being mad at himself because he's like, out of all the 5 starters, he's the one who's supposed to be the best, and he was the worst, through the first few starts. So, and then seeing maybe, I don't want to say it's an ego thing, but he's got to be like, everyone's talking about Cortez. They're talking about the number 5. They should be talking about me. And maybe he was just really mad that he wasn't locating, because when you looked at his first few starts, there were the signs of Garrett Cole being Garrett Cole. It was just he was walking everybody. The walks were a big issue. Yesterday he had 1, I think, and it came early.
It was 1 walk.
Yeah, so he ended up striking out 9 in total. So he was the Garrett Cole of old yesterday. Maybe it was Trevino because his framing is so good, but so is Higgy. So I think at the very least this means we don't see that guaranteed Higgy start anymore, which we never should have had in the first place going into this year with 2 defensive-minded catchers. So it can only be looked at as a plus for Cole. We know he feels more comfortable throwing to Higgy because he's been throwing to him since 2020. So I'm sure we'll see a mix now at this point, but if it becomes a trend where he keeps struggling throwing to one guy, much like with Sanchez and then throwing to Higgy, maybe we'll see that permanent change. But Trevino's great though. Like I like him defensively. He's just really, really good. This is what he does. He's very, very good at framing, and that's what really helps the pitchers. And I think that right now you have to move forward with him as the number 1.
Yeah.
Because he's hitting better than Higgy, and he's playing much better behind the plate than Higgy as well. So
I mean, he is definitely on both sides of the plate. He's better, but I would put all the good pitching on Blake, like 80% of it. Yes, certainly. I would also give a lot of it to the catching as well. I mean, that includes Higgy. I think that the fact that the pitchers can now trust that they have somebody behind the plate that can catch everything makes a big difference. Because Gary Sanchez could catch a cold back there, and balls were flying past him left, right, and center last year. And the fact that now that we have a pitching staff that now can trust that back there, you've got a Trevino who's a sensational framer, Higgy, who's also a very, very good framer, the plus defender. He was one of the better catchers in the American League actually last year in a lot of statistics, not in terms of arm, but in terms of framing and defense back there. He's certainly up there. And Trevino was even better, that was a bit of a steal of a trade actually. But I think a lot of that has to do with the catching situation as well. I've been calling for a defensive catcher for a number of years now, and it certainly helps, man. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have a really good defender, especially when you've got arms like Garrett Cole, who needs to trust who he was going with. That's why they had to ride it out with Higgy every single Garrett Cole start. A, because he trusts him, and B, because he trusts that Higgy would actually catch those pitches that he was throwing. And Gary Sanchez and him never gelled. So
No, they didn't.
No, exactly. Gary Sanchez is a DH as far as I'm concerned. He's a spot starter at catcher. He is not an everyday catcher. So the Yankees
No, but that's kind of what you're saying with Trevino is in the lineup itself. when you have him and IKF together, they really are feeding off each other very well. They're really blending in with the bottom of the lineup to make sure, and they're really putting good at bats together to make sure that lineup turns over. And you also see between Trevino and Higgy with the catch, defensively, if a pitcher has an 0-2 count, they could bury a curveball or an off-speed pitch to try to get them to chase without worrying if it's going to advance a runner that might be on first base. You're not, you don't have the pass ball, the wild pitch. You could trust your defense. As much as we want to say you need to have a good defense around the horn, it starts behind the plate, and then everything else falls into place. So, the pitchers are a lot more comfortable. You're seeing that this year, where when you have a comfortable defense, on your catching, and also with the way that Matt Blake works with them all, it's almost like the perfect storm for success. So
can we talk about the defense for just a second? Because how much more comfortable does Glaber look right now playing second? It's incredible.
Very, very
he just looks like he should have he should have never left that position. And he looked.
He shouldn't have.
Yeah. They're loose. They're playing loose. Yesterday, all series they were just playing loose, having fun. They're laughing during the 7th stretch when they were singing "God Bless America." It had to be because Garrett Cole was doing a voice. You look at he was
laughing.
Judge and Cortez were laughing. He must have been doing some sort of opera voice because they were all singing and then they started laughing at the end, and Cole just kept going. But no, they're playing loose and they're having fun, and that's what happens when you win and when everybody's clicking. And going back to IKF, he is hitting an even 300 right now, Donald. So
wow,
you were right. He's right there, and over his last 7 games, he's hitting 360. So IKF, he's getting it done, man. This is what we need to see from the bottom of the order. Even if he hits 270 like last year, get on base because we need the speed. That's all we need from him. And the same with Trevino. Everybody had a hit yesterday except for Donaldson, and I think he even scored a run. Even the pinch runners had hits. LeCasher had a home run, and Marwin Gonzalez had a hit. So everybody produced yesterday. So that is
biggest surprise is Gallo got an extra base hit for the first time this year.
And an RBI.
Yeah.
And an RBI.
Who would have thought?
I'm going to just look out the window. I'm going to look out the window to see if pigs are flying. Give me a minute.
The big day for the Italians yesterday. Everybody, Rizzo, Gallo, Macaroni, I still can't say his name. Marinaccio. Marinara sauce. Everybody produced that.
All the Italians. So the bullpen's got marinara sauce, lasagna. What else can we throw?
All the Italians.
But no, the pitching really did very well. Cole's line is 6.2 innings, 6 2/3, 4 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. So we did give up the 1 walk. Peralta had a pitch an inning and a third clean with 1 walk. So it wasn't clean. And Marinaccio, Marinara, because neither one of us are going to get that.
Oh my God,
Marinaccio.
That's Marinaccio. Even I can do that. I'm not even Italian. I can do Marinaccio. Can we move on now?
It was 1 inning, 2 runs, but at that point in the game, it was pretty much done. And he's been fine, so I'm not worried about him.
Right. So
it really, and what I liked about that was it gave the big arms in the bullpen the extra day's rest. So with not having to pitch yesterday, today is an off day, and this way going into this going into this next series, they are all just ready to go.
About Michael King, we talk about Michael King because he did it again the other day. 8 strikeouts in 3 innings. Because Tyone was fine through 5. Yeah. And then that Kluber ball, that might have been Cashman's best move ever. He signed Corey Kluber, and it's still paying off this year because Michael King learned that Kluber ball, and he is using it. That thing is disgusting. You strike out 8 guys in 3 innings of relief. When was the last time that was done? The dude is scary at bullpen.
Yeah, it's
Pitching wins championships.
Yeah,
That's what wins championships. Home runs don't win championships. Pitching does. And for once, Cashman's finally figured that out. We've actually now got a pitching rotation that you can trust moving forward. It's not full of big names like the Mets have or some other teams have, but they're all effective. And there's not really a weak spot in that rotation, which is amazing to me because normally there is. So that's solid. And there's not really a weak spot in the bullpen other than Chapman, and Chapman isn't even that awful when he's on his game. So the fact that Chapman is your weakest reliever is a pretty good sign too. So yeah, there's a lot of positive signs in pitching. Rob, I want to get your thoughts on the fans in the bleachers, the straw incident. What are your thoughts?
There's both sides are kind of in the wrong here. I won't blame Miles Straw for defending his teammate. That I will never do, because let's be honest here. If a Yankee player did that, the fans would be praising that guy. If Aaron Hicks climbed the wall and started yelling at fans, they'd be like, "Oh, we need that fire. Defend your team." So I'm not mad that he defended his teammate, but probably shouldn't have climbed the fence, because we've seen before when players get involved in the crowd, it can get ugly. You never know what's going to happen. You have people that have been drinking. Yankee fans are notoriously rowdy. So had he gotten into the crowd, who knows what would have happened, and it would not have been a good look for either side. And yeah, it should not have happened. So I won't say Straw's in the right for climbing the fence, but I won't blame him for defending his teammate. Then the fans throwing this stuff should never happen. The fact that 2 years in a row now we're talking about fans should not be having to throw stuff on the field. It's not a good look. Does it represent the entire fan base? No. But when you have people saying, Straw, obviously he was like, "Oh, this is the worst fan base in all of sports," blah blah blah, and then people are like, he should get thrown at. Oh, he should get beat up. See, you're kind of proving his point there when he calls people classless. But not everybody's going to do that. You can't represent, even if every single person in that stadium threw something the other day, it still doesn't represent the entire fan base, which is crazy.
Yeah, you're talking about billions of fans. You got 40,000, 40,000 plus in the ballpark, and you're going to judge all of us on 30 idiots,
right? You should never be throwing stuff, because they were throwing full bottles. They hit an umpire like right in the back. They were hitting other fans. Like, imagine you're about to leave a game, you just walked off, you're celebrating, getting hit by beer. Come on now, like that's just nasty. Someone's mouth was on that bottle, first of all, and now you're getting hit with nasty ass smelling beer. Like, that's just a bad look. Don't do it. Stop throwing stuff, because you're looking like idiots, making it about yourself. The only players who are celebrating, they have to come tell you to stop, and then you want those players to defend you the next day. Defend the fans. Why? We had to go put ourselves in harm's way to stop your dumbasses from throwing stuff. Like, you should not be doing that. Rizzo's tapping Judge like, "Look what's going on." Then they got to go run and say stop. And then, because more people could have got hit, who knows if Mercado had gotten hit because they came close to hitting him with a bottle, he could have hopped the fence for all we know, and it would have been Malice of the Palace Part 2 in the Bronx, and it would have been really bad. Because just don't throw stuff. It was a walk-off win, probably one of the most exciting wins we're going to have this year, apart from opening day. Celebrate it, man. We need the wins. Just celebrate, have a good time, be good fans.
See, that's what it was. We had that gritty win that we saw in the Boston series that we're like, all right, this team just has a different fight, and it's, they keep their heads in the game and they're not looking at tomorrow. And then that kind of just ruined the whole enjoyment of it. So not only did you aggravate, the players that were on the field, you aggravated all the fans that were watching. And even your own, your own brethren, of fans that were watching from home, watching the Yankee game like we were, we're like, hi, now we just turn the TV off because we don't want to see it. I didn't even want to give them any, I didn't even want to recognize them and give them any airtime today. But
Mhm.
it is Yankee news. It did need to be brought up a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
So because I don't want to give them any recognition, or they're still talking about us, and because they're trash fans. They don't represent us. That's the biggest problem with social media is that's what got the spotlight. Not the play on the field, not the comeback, not Glaber finally contributing something that we've been waiting for, and that's what we get. And it just sucks. That's all I can say. It just sucks. But that is gonna wrap. I think that is gonna wrap things up for us today.
Am I allowed?
No,
am
go
I allowed
ahead.
to have a
Sorry,
viewpoint?
Donald. Yes. Go ahead.
Jeez. So, my colleagues at the Big Apple podcast were actually at the game. They did see Straw scale the wall. You can't scale the wall like that. It looked like he was ready to jump in there like it was a steel cage match from the wrestling. So, there's cause and effect. I really do think that there was no garbage that was going to be thrown until he scaled the fence, and then he started jawing at a fan. Now, there are some people that are saying that he spat at a fan. Now, I can't say that for sure. Certainly, it looks like he was obviously pretty much nose to nose with one particular fan, and I mean, I don't think that's called for. I think that's pretty bad, and also I don't like the fact that he said that the entire Yankee fan base are classless and trash, etc. I don't like that either. I think that that he should have just clarified that and said the people that threw the trash on the field are classless, are trash fans. That is fine. I get behind that, but saying that the entire Yankee fan base is trash is pretty disgraceful, actually.
Yeah.
And his colleague was actually a lot better. His teammate was a lot better in terms of verbalizing his thoughts. And Mercado, he just said, "Listen, these fans should not be celebrating one of our guys getting hurt. That's not a good fan." And he says that they should be excited about their team. And he goes, I like passionate fans. That's great. It's great for us. It's great for the sport. But there's things that you shouldn't really be doing. That's more than fair. And so what Mercado said, I'm completely get behind. It's what Straw was kind of saying, where all he was basically doing was just digging out the Yankees in general. I don't like that at all, especially considering he climbed the fence. It's a cause and effect. I mean, that is inciting something. There's no other way to put it. He was inciting something. There was no trash being thrown prior to him scaling the fence. Now, I'm not putting it all on him. I'm just saying that there needs to be some context there. Not enough people are talking about the fact that happened. I've not seen that happen this year. I've not seen that in prior years where players are climbing the stands looking to start a fight with a fan. I just think that's wrong. So I don't like that. But of course, the fact that Yankee fans were throwing trash on the field, you know who I have the biggest sympathy for? It's not Straw. It's not the Guardians. It's Gleyber Torres, because it took away from Gleyber Torres' big walk-off. That's what should have been the conversation. It reminded me of when R.J. Barrett hit that miraculous buzzer beater against the Celtics. And the conversation was not about his buzzer beater. It was about R.J. Barrett. It was Julius Randle starting a fight with the fans in the stands and telling them to go F themselves and things like that. It distracted them, and that's a terrible sign. I mean, if you distract from what was going on the court or on the field or a big win, and it turns into a fight between a player and the fans, then the person who loses is the one that came up with that big play. So in this instance, it was Gleyber Torres, and I feel bad for him because the conversation should have been, that was a really good at bat. That was a clutch at bat, and it's not easy to come in a pinch hit situation and have your pride hurt that you're benched because obviously you're meant to be one of the established players in the league at this point. The fact that he took it all in stride, worked harder, and came up with a quality at bat, and instead the conversation is about idiots that are throwing crap on the field and trying to hurt people in the that are just doing their jobs. And that's what the Guardians were doing. They're just doing their jobs. They're just outfielders, just being outfielders, and you're basically affecting them in their place of work. That's what they're doing, and that is really bad. And that doesn't happen around the league. I've not seen Red Sox fans do it, and I've not seen Astro fans do it. So the Yankee fans have to take some accountability. I'm no way excusing any of that. This needs to stop, flat out stop. Rant and rave and curse at them all you want, but when you start throwing things on the field, that means that you're inhibiting their place of work. They need to feel safe in their place of work. So that has to absolutely stop. 100% stop. Guys, stop it. There's a bunch of other things you can do to let your feelings known about it. But also, I just wanted to add context there. I still think it's a cause and effect. I think Straw incited an element of that, because none of this would have happened if he didn't scale the fence. And you can, as Mercado did, he defended his teammates without trying to incite a riot. And I'm not saying Straw was inciting a riot, but that kind of behavior incites a riot. So I blame both sides, but obviously Yankee fans need to really stop it, man. There's no excuse for it. And I also wanted Aaron Boone to defend the Yankee fans a little bit more than he did. When he was asked yesterday about Straw's comments, that he obviously called the entire Yankee fans classless, the worst in sports, blah, 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 blah. Aaron Boone just went, I know he's emotional, but I would disagree. Come on, man. You need to defend your organization. That's your job. You should be defending your organization a bit more than that. You should have just said, well, that was a small minority, but in general, Yankee fans are passionate and one of the best in the league, because we are. I'm not going to have us being told that we're the worst, but certainly there's an element of the fan base that needs to just freaking cut it out, man. Just no room for it in the sport or any sport.
Enough with this whole "this is New York" thing. Get used to it, because they didn't do this shit in the 90s. When we were winning every year, they weren't throwing stuff at players and I gotta kill you. This. Enough of this. Where this is New York stuff, because this is not the same New York as it was back then. This is a different era of New York. So you got people throwing up Fortnite taunts at people and crap like that. Like, get out of here. You're not being tough, standing behind a wall throwing stuff. Just get over it. There's a difference between being a rowdy fan base. You can yell and curse and scream, make the other team feel uncomfortable so you can throw them off their game. That's one thing. That's what a good home crowd does, when you're just loud and you throw the other team off. There's another thing where you're threatening people and literally putting them and your own team in harm's way, because they were throwing stuff as the Yankees were running to right field saying stop. Like, come on. Now you're putting your own team in harm's way. Imagine if, as they're running, someone gets hit by a stray bottle, and wouldn't probably hurt them, but you still imagine being the guy that threw a bottle and it hit Rizzo by mistake because he's trying to tell you guys to stop or get somebody else out of the way, because he went right to Mercado and tried to get him out of there. Like, players are going to protect the players, because even though they're playing against each other, even they said, I think it was Rizzo saying it's a brotherhood. It's the players. They're defending each other there. You got to get them out of the situation. So, yeah, it was a bad look for both sides. Like you said, Donald, Straw should not have climbed that wall. Had he not, nothing probably would have happened like that. Exactly. But you still should not be throwing stuff. So, yeah, both sides are in the wrong here. I don't want people thinking that I'm defending Miles Straw. So that goes to you, Alex.
That's gonna pretty much says it all. So that's gonna wrap things up for us today. Just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social media in the description. Check us out on sportname.com/player, on Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.